students. I hope you're doing well. It has been a crazy couple of first weeks just with all the shifting changes. And I just really appreciate how dedicated you guys have been to the course thus far. So, today we're going to be doing a lot of hopping around, but really, our key goal for this week is we are going to talk about how to find research, how to find good, solid research. And we're going to really start diving into our annotated bibliographies. So, why do we have to consider how to search for research? Why can't we just Google or look on our phones and find the first thing that pops up? Well, we want to ensure we are finding reliable resources, especially in a college atmosphere when we're writing papers that are academically based. We really want to make sure that we're really using solid foundations to create our papers. Another thing we've got to consider is we live in a world that is filled with news. We get news from our TVs, our smartphones, social media, various articles. So, in order to think critically and not to fall prey to believing everything we hear, see, or watch, we have to learn how to really shift through the mass media that we are receiving. Calvin Craig is our local librarian expert. And we're going to watch a couple videos together from him today. He really talks to us about how to find reliable research and what that looks like.
So I've got my essay written, and I've been working on it for about a week. So now I'm going to show you how I use Grammarly to edit. Okay, so here's my essay, and I'm going to click through Grammarly suggestions in the right panel.
Welcome to Gaston College Library's Information Literacy Series. Today's course is entitled, How to Evaluate Credible Websites for Research. The objectives of this online course are to provide information on the importance of evaluating information on the Internet, questions to consider when looking at websites, and practical tips on how to evaluate Internet information, as well as drawing distinct differences between searching the free Internet as opposed to library databases. While there is a lot of good information on the Internet that is available for research, using search engines like Google, Bing, or Yahoo do not discriminate between what is good and what is bad. You are not only getting hit results based on the algorithm of the search engine, and quality is not a consideration. It's extremely important that you evaluate the information you get on the Internet. Because anyone can publish on the web, it's important to be able to distinguish between reliable and unreliable websites. Here are a few questions to consider. Who wrote the page? You need to determine who wrote what you are reading. Do they have proper qualifications, or are they experts in their area? Is the website publisher reputable? In many cases, you won't even find an author, making it difficult to cite in MLA or APA formats. Library databases create citations for you, which is an added value over a free web page. Is this website biased or just opinions thrown together? You must make sure that what the author is writing is based on facts, not their opinion. Think of a crazy sports fan that can only see things from their own perspective about their team. Usually, they will not consider both sides of an issue because they are only focused on making their team look good. Is the information on the website accurate? Can you replicate or find this information in other sources? Being able to find the information in other sources is a way to prove fact, but watch for circular reporting, which is discussed in another video on fake news. Is the information current? When was it published, and is it current enough for research? Many times you will find websites that have no information to let you know when it was posted to the web. As the web gets older, information will get older, and knowing when it was posted or updated will be important. If you search our library databases, you will always see the date of information, another great benefit the library provides over the free Internet. Here are a few practical tips to also keep in mind. The author and publisher host may be the same. For example, if you don't see an author's name on an organization's website, then the organization is both the author and the publisher. You may not find all of your answers on the web page provided. You may have to look at other pages on the website, Look for an about link, for example, or search the web for more information about the person or organization that created the website. Weigh all four criteria when making your decision: authority, objectivity, accuracy, and currency. For example, the information may appear accurate, but if the authority is suspect, you may want to find a more authoritative site for your information. This concludes the Information Literacy Series orientation on how to evaluate credible websites for research.
So let's say.
So let me get back to our PowerPoint. So just to recap here, a few things to consider. Everyone can create a website and put it on the internet. Not all of that information is reliable. Really think about just the day and age that we're living in. Really, anybody can become a blogger. Anyone can become a writer, a blogger, an influencer. And instead of really seeing through what can be, how that can create issues, we're so quick just to assume the truth, right? We're quick to assume that what they're giving is accurate. So use the following criteria to evaluate some of these websites. Look for accuracy. Look for an email, a contact address, and phone numbers. You want to find out if the author is actually even qualified to write the things that they are writing. Consider the authority. Look for the URL domain and ask if the author is affiliated with an educational institution, a government agency, an organization, or a commercial site. Does the author or the publisher list their qualifications? Objectivity. Are the goals and aims of the website clearly stated? Is the group, person, and organization legitimate? Ask yourself why the page was written and for whom. Again, going back to just the political and social atmosphere we're looking at today, there's a lot of sites that you go on and it's clear that they're angry, or it's clear that they agree with everything that's going on. Anytime you see just this very clear, stark nature of one side or one opinion, it's something to consider as to whether or not it's reliable. Currency, check for the dead links and the outdated information. If you see a date listed, it may be the date of posting or the date of revision. So just be sure that the source has up-to-date information. And coverage. Do you have to have specialized software to access the information? Are you required to pay a fee to access the information? A lot of times, academic, scholarly, peer-reviewed work, you really have to have a login or you have to pay something to be able to access that work. Keep in mind, free information is information that is available to all. And a lot of times you can find those through Google and search engines. So it's, again, something to consider. With this knowledge, we need to ensure we know how to find accurate sources. We've talked about the difference and we've talked about why it's so important to find accurate resources. But some of you may be going, okay, that's all fine and dandy, but I don't know how to find those. As a student, you have a great privilege to use the Gaston College Library. So we're going to dive into how you get to use that incredible resource. So the next thing that we're really going to tackle is, if I'm supposed to find these peer-reviewed articles, how do I go about finding them? Now that we understand the importance of looking for that accurate and scholarly information, let's go through that process. First of all, I want you to take a look at the Gaston College library. Let me make sure that I'm sharing the appropriate screen here. Okay, so if we go through this website, you can see that you can find books, articles, there are class guides, which I'm going to go into more detail in a bit, research help and citation guides. And then this may look very confusing to some of you. We are going to go to our next link in our PowerPoint. And Calvin Craig is going to talk a little bit about how to find these articles that I'm referencing when I talk about peer-reviewed articles.
Welcome to Gaston College Library's Information Literacy Series. Today's course is entitled, How to Find Peer-Reviewed Articles. The objectives of this online course are to provide information on how to determine what are peer-reviewed articles and how to locate, search, and cite peer-reviewed articles. There are a few characteristics of peer-reviewed articles. They are published in peer-reviewed journals, and the name peer helps you understand that these journals are based on review panels of experts in their academic field. In other words, if you are in nursing and you do research on a topic that affects nursing, then you would publish your results in a nursing peer-reviewed journals where the peers are others who are experts in nursing topics. A majority of these peers must accept your information to be published, and peer review can guarantee that the information is good for you to use. To locate peer-reviewed journals from the library, you need to navigate to our homepage. First, start at the homepage of Gaston College. You'll find the link to the library in the navy bar at the top of the page. Click this link. On the Gaston College Library's homepage, look for the heading Search for Articles. While all of these links can help you find good information, Google Scholar and the ProQuest databases Central and Research Library are the best to find peer-reviewed articles. However, Google Scholar is limited in the amount of full-text articles you can find, so stick to the ProQuest databases. It doesn't matter which you select, but for demonstration purposes, we are going to search the Research Library. Also for demonstration purposes, we will need a topic to conduct research. The topic we are choosing today will be finding peer-reviewed articles covering the issue of post-traumatic stress disorder as it affects our military veterans. At the homepage for ProQuest Library, you can enter your keywords. For this search, we can use the acronym PTSD for the post-traumatic stress disorder, and we can use the terms veterans to describe military veterans. Keep in mind that I wrote an "and" in between the two terms. This is a structured way to tell the database that I'm looking for these two terms in the same article. The more terms you can search for, the less hits you will get back. You will also notice a button under the search box that says peer-reviewed articles. You can select that box by checking it to guarantee that all of your hits are peer-reviewed, but since we are already in a database that contains mostly peer-reviewed articles, clicking that box isn't absolutely necessary at this moment. The initial group of hits are close to 15,000, and that's just too many to review, and we might be getting some articles that are off topic for what we really want. Maybe we want articles that also talk about how alcoholism can affect PTSD and veterans. Just add the word alcoholism after another and typing the word, and again our hits will go down to over 700. If we want to drill down even further, we may only want articles that mention Iraq veterans as opposed to other veterans like those from Vietnam, and now by adding Iraq, we get just over 200 hits. If you scroll down on your left, you have several limiters. If you want, you can use the date range limiter to only get articles from 2015 to the present. Now we are down to 26 hits, and that is more manageable, and hopefully the articles are more on topic to what we need. For demonstration purposes, we're going to look at the first article titled Nature and Treatment of Comorbid Alcohol Problems and Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder Among American Military Personnel and Veterans. The article was published in a peer-reviewed journal called Alcohol Abuse, and it was written by John Allen, Eric Crawford, and Harold Cudler. Click the tab at the top of the page for full text PDF. You'll now get the scanned-in version of the article to demonstrate that this did originally come from a print resource. If you want to cite the article for a paper, click the Cite button located on the right of the screen. Initially, you will see the format for citing the article using MLA format, but you can change to APA if you need to. Once you click the Change button, you can see that the APA format for the article is ready for you to copy and paste into your paper. This is another good reason why library resources are useful. The citations are already done for you. However, you always must refer back to your Wadsworth Handbook to make sure that all citations are correct. Also, the Gaston College Writing Center is an amazing resource to use to help you in writing your papers, including making sure your citations are correct. This concludes the Information Literacy Series orientation on how to find peer-reviewed articles.
So we are going to get back to our So Calvin Craig really goes through, just shows you great examples of how to find those articles. And again, you're going to find that homepage at www.gaston.edu/library. For a specific, we're going to walk through a specific example to this essay. And I also want to walk you through, just as you're navigating this for yourself, what this is going to look like. So I am going to share my screen with you all. So right now you should be seeing the Gaston College homepage, okay? And for this essay, one thing that I want you to know, if you go to class guides and you scroll down and you're going to go to English, under English 112, you're going to see Dupree. You can click on this. And then Whit Preston, another wonderful librarian expert, has created some really great resources for you. If you want to rewatch some of those videos that we've already talked about and watched today, you can go under evaluating websites to find some of this information. If you want to find things about citation, you can go to MLA citation, and it goes over some quick rules, shows you things about annotated bibliographies, which is what we're going to be doing for this first essay. How do I cite? It shows you how to cite various texts right there, and even goes over in-text citation, which we'll be building on in a couple weeks. But going back to this main page, if you're here at the home page and you go under selected topics, Whit has created some really good databases for biographies of leaders, okay? So he, right here, Gail in Context, you can click on this and it'll take you to this page. And again, this is going to be the same login as your Blackboard information. And then here is where you would type in your person. So for example, I'm going to be researching it's really Geoff Canada. Okay, but this is his full name. Okay, and then once you click on that, it takes me to the leader. And then right under here, it gives me certain articles. I can look through some of these, decide what works for me. But again, this is just one resource that Whit has created for you. Another thing that you can do, I'm just going to go back here, is you can do films on demand and look at some of those, and then create a reference as well. And then social science databases, which again, cover some of these biography things. But if you go back to the home page, I want to walk you through an example of how you would search if you were just here at the home page and you decided you wanted to look for some peer-reviewed articles. And then I'm going to show you a couple examples of things I've already found. So right here under search for articles, just as Calvin Craig mentioned, you're going to go right here under ProQuest Central. And I'm already logged in, so it should take me directly to the page. And then right here, this is where you're going to enter your key terms. Now, I want to show you from the PowerPoint some of the terms that I came up with this morning. So I'm researching Geoff Canada, and I spelled this incorrectly, I apologize, but he is an influential leader in the education sphere. So I put his name and education, his name and leadership, his name and biography, his name and change. And again, what I want you to really focus on is you have to put the and between the certain terms so that the search engines can find those various terms in the articles. So just to give you some perspective, this took me quite a bit of time to really look through. You are probably going to spend a couple hours researching these terms to really find what you need. So for example, this was one of the things that I searched, okay? Geoff Canada and education. And then it brings me to this, but as Calvin Craig mentioned, this is just an insurmountable number of results. We have the full text already indicated, but we also want to try to find peer reviewed because you are required to find 3 peer reviewed sources. So if I click on that, it's going to limit my results to 6,119. One thing that Calvin didn't go through as much that I want to share with you. This is one of the articles that I actually used. One thing you can do, always look at the title to kind of infer what this is going to be about, because half of these are not going to help you. For example, advancing health equity and cancer care, the lived experiences of poverty and access to lung cancer screening. That is not something that's going to be helpful for me for the purposes of this paper. However, this title, Whatever It Takes, Geoffrey Canada's Quest to Change Harlem in America, that's definitely something that could prove to be useful. So I'm going to go to abstract details. And then I can read a short little summary here that can help me see if this is actually going to be meaningful. For me, it is. So I'm going to click on full text. And then I have the entire article here. One thing that I want to make very clear to you all, when we begin writing this paper and you start citing work, you are going to need to actually download the issue so that you can see the page numbers. They're not always as apparent just here on the screen. So it's important that you download them and save them to your computer so that you can see those particular page numbers. So I want to walk you through. So this was one of the articles that I found and thought was useful after I read it. I saw that it would contribute well to my paper. This was another article that I found. This was one that I actually found with the biography section that Whit Preston created. Again, another article that I found. And then I also, for one of my sources that was not peer reviewed, I really wanted to see if I could find like a really cool YouTube or something that I could learn from. And surely enough, when I typed in his name, he had given a TED Talk. And so again, great information that I could pull from those particular sources. So going back to one of these, one of the things that Calvin Craig goes over and that's super important, we are going to be talking about citing and what that looks like. And for your annotated bibliography, you're going to be citing a source and then summarizing that source. So you're going to click on Cite. And then right here, MLA 8th edition, which is what you need, it already creates that citation for you to copy and paste and then put in a Word document. So again, here are some of the keywords I use. One thing I want to mention to you, some of you might be using people that are not searchable in those library search engines. Maybe you're using somebody that is a little bit more low key, who's not as much on the radar. Something that you're going to have to do is, depending on what field you're going into, you're going to have to find research about that particular field. And you're going to have to use concepts. For example, I did education and leadership here, and then education and impact. You're going to have to look for concepts, and through those concepts, find various articles that are helpful for you, since you might not find articles that align with that particular person. Guys, I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, again, always feel free to reach out. I'd love to talk through any questions that you have or help you in your process as you begin to navigate research, navigate how to find peer-reviewed research, and learn how to really dig through those library resources.